is I'm going to show you my Windows 10 box. Now, I have my Windows 10 machine set up in VMware vSphere environment, VMware vSphere 6 environment. That doesn't mean you have to do it that way. But I have it set up that way because I find it easy for me to manipulate it, of course, in the virtual environment. You can certainly use Oracle VirtualBox. You can use Hyper-V, really anything you like. VMware vSphere 6 just works for me. So one of the very notable differences in Windows 8 and Windows 10 is the Start menu. The Start menu has come a long way from what it was. So here's what the Start menu of Windows 10 looks like. Now, one of the things is you see right over here the Life at a Glance and Play and Explore. You can easily change these if you want. But one of the things is you can shrink this like so, and apparently resize this. You can also select this admin. That's the user that I'm logged in with. If I right click on it, I can choose to change account settings, lock the user, or just sign out. Okay, pretty easy access there. I can right click on some component here, right in here. For example, I'm going to right click on Cortana and I can select Unpin from Start and it will just go away. I can right click on another one of these icons, select to resize it. I can make it small. I can right click on any one of these icons and make the live tile turn off so that it is not going out and constantly searching the web and getting new data. Well, it just depends on how you want to work with this information. Okay, so I like I'm going to unpin this one from the Start menu. I can unpin this from the Start menu. Right click on it, turn lighting off. Okay, I can go over to All Apps right over here, for example, and I can go down to an app, let's say Map. I can right click on it and I can pin that to the Start menu. There it is, right down there. And I can move this up by itself, right there. I can right click it, click. I can obviously resize this, no big deal, right? Make this bigger the way it was. I can obviously also go over to settings, which I'm a big fan of. But before I get to that, let me show you another awesome feature. Is this task view right over here, which is very, very cool. Task view gives you these virtual desktops. This has been around in the Mac and the Linux platform for quite some time, and it is new to Windows. Let me show you here what I'm talking about for those of you that haven't played with it. I'm going to click on the Start menu. Let's say I'm going to type Notepad, and here I'm going to say on desktop 1. I'm going to go over to the Start menu. I'm going to go to the Task View, select New Desktop, go to Desktop 2, click on the Start menu, and I'm going to type WordPad, like so. And WordPad will open up, and I'm going to say this is on Desktop 2. And I'm going to go back to the Task View, and I'm going to open up another desktop, go to Desktop 3, and I'm going to open up Microsoft Edge. Now I have 3 separate windows with 3 separate desktops. Now the immediate question is, well, what does that gain me? And why can't I just place that on a single desktop? Well, here's the thing. With having multiple desktops, multiple virtual desktops, you get more real estate. I don't know about you, but my desktop tends to get very cluttered very fast. Filling it up with applications that are happening and running behind the scenes, having Excel and Word and my business applications, sometimes QuickBooks, and I'm on 4,000 web pages all over the place. This way, I'm able to differentiate my environments. I can keep the desktop nice, neat, and clean. Now, in the past, I shouldn't say in the past, but still, people utilize multiple monitors to accomplish this task, to be able to get to be able to increase their real estate. Well, obviously, right? Increasing the real estate is a pretty big deal and pretty big piece of the puzzle. But if you have one monitor, having a task view and being able to go to multiple desktops is a very, very nice feature. Now, this is something you may not know even if you've played with the desktops, with these virtual desktops. And by the way, don't confuse virtual desktops with virtual machines. They're not the same thing. You don't have to do any kind of setup to get virtual desktops going. You simply click on the task view, select new desktop, and you're good to go. Now I've got desktops 1, 2, and 3. On the third desktop, I've got Edge. On the second desktop, I've got WordPad. And on the first desktop, of course, I've got Notepad. If I go to the task view and I go to the third desktop, let's say I want to trash this desktop and I want to trash this one, and I'm going to go back to the first desktop. Look, all of them are here. The Edge, Notepad, and WordPad are all here. It's not like the things that I was working on got deleted or got removed. This is something that got in my way initially when I was working with these virtual desktops. I thought to myself, well, you know, what if I'm working with Word and I have a document that I'm working on, or Excel, or SQL Server, or whatever I'm working on? What if I close that desktop out? And it didn't, for a second there, it didn't ask me to close anything. It didn't ask me to save anything, and I was kind of wondering what happened. Really, what has taken place is it has simply combined everything into, one desktop with it, which essentially is what it is. Everything is really sitting in one place. It's just separating it out so that you're able to navigate around it much easier. Okay, so that is a feature. Now down here you have this search the web in Windows. That's a Cortana search window here. I like to right-click on that, and in search I like to show the icon right over here. I don't like to have that thing search take up that much space, but it's entirely up to you. Or you can simply hide it and not show it altogether. So that's entirely up to you as well. And then I like the icon sitting there. Also, when I right-click on the taskbar, this touch keyboard button, which is on the bottom right-hand corner, I don't like that. In my case, I like to turn that off as well. And I also have the clock and the network and other things turned off, and that is entirely up to you as well. When you right-click on the taskbar and you go to Properties, you are able to get to customize the notification area. And in the notification area, you are able to specify what you want to turn on or off. In my case, I like to keep everything off. You can also go to System Icons. Maybe you want to turn on the clock. And if you look on the bottom right-hand corner, it'll turn the clock on. Same thing with volume and same thing with network and so on. I like to have everything turned off. Okay, now in navigation, it says replace the command prompt with Windows PowerShell in the menu when I right-click the lower left-hand corner and press the Windows X key. Now here's the thing. This is something that I happen to like. I can't say that everybody would like it. If you're not familiar with PowerShell, this would be your enemy, right? But I tend to like this, and I like this feature. The fact that I can replace the command prompt with PowerShell, because PowerShell can do everything the command prompt can do, and then some. And for those of you that haven't worked with PowerShell, I would strongly encourage you to begin working with it and using it. You're going to find that your skills as a Windows user is going to become the power user side. Okay, so toolbars, the address, links, and desktop toolbars that are available. I used to use the auto hide taskbar. So if you click on it and you click OK, the taskbar on the bottom is going to disappear until you hover over it. I happen to not like that anymore, because depending on what program you're working with, if you hide the taskbar, you may end up colliding with or messing with the real state of the other program, because it will think that the taskbar is not there, it can't be there. I don't know if you've experienced this in the past. It's a personal pet peeve of mine, if you will. Okay, let's go over to settings here. So clicking on the start menu, going to settings, and look at the way the settings window looks. Really, really cool. Now the interesting thing is these categories, I'm not a big fan of these. I can never find anything in here. I don't know if you're like that. What I end up doing is I end up simply looking for it over here. So for example, I'll just look for, firewall, and then just find firewall. Or I'll look for example, network, and I will find anything that is even related to network, not necessarily just a network keyword, but it will find things that don't have the network keyword in it but are related to network, such as printer, joining the domain, data usage, right? These don't have the network keyword in it. Device manager, sharing settings, web credentials, and so on. So this is smart. It doesn't just search for the network keyword or whatever keyword you put in. It's going to find what is what it's related to. So keep that in mind as well. So I'm going to close out of that, click on the Start menu, click on Settings, and this Settings window, or this Settings option here, this looks a very, very nice, clean cut control panel, doesn't it? And here's system features and display notifications, for example, display notifications. Now, in my case, this may be up to you, but you know, as I said, I turned the notifications on or off, but there's a really neat feature. There's apps and features. Privacy. Now, here's the thing. By default, and this particular installation of Windows is installed by default. I want to show you this as well. This is something from a security perspective. I like to turn these things off. Look at this. So here I am in settings and I'm in privacy. And look in general, it says let apps use my advertising ID. Yeah, I don't think so. Send Microsoft info about, yeah, I don't think so. Let websites provide locally relevant content. No, I turned that off. It says turn on smart screen filter to check web content that Windows, I'm going to try to turn that off as well. In location, you look over here, location services are turned on. I like to turn that off. And location history, I like to clear that out. Going further down, I have all of these turned off over here. Okay, I don't want any of the apps to use my location unless, of course, I am using a GPS or something like that where the location services are required. Camera, look at this. Let apps use my camera. Are you scared about that? Because I am. I turn all that stuff off. I don't want somebody to be able to get in, and that's a default setting, by the way. The default setting is to leave it on. An app connector, Microsoft Edge, the browser, OneNote, and Windows Maps will use your camera. Oh. Microphone, look at that. Let apps use my microphone. I don't think so. I don't want by default to turn that on. I want to select when I want to turn that on and when I want to turn that off. Speech, inking, and typing. This is also something that you can train Windows with. You can train Windows to work with your speech patterns, and if you're always carrying around a headset or a Bluetooth headset and you want to talk into the Windows environment, specifically Cortana, you can make your tasks much easier by simply dictating things to Windows. Look at this. Let apps access my name, picture, and other account information. No. Contacts. Choose apps that can access contacts. No, no, no. Maybe mail and calendar, right? That would be required. Okay, go over to calendar. Let apps access my calendar. No. So you may want to take a look at this. Let apps read and send messages. No. So you want to take care of these privacy settings. A lot of them are turned on, and a lot of them, I think, are unknown to the people that work with Windows environment day to day. They simply don't realize that the default installation of Windows opens up a lot of doors that are not secure, for lack of a better word. So here's Microsoft Edge, right? The browser, which is really kind of cool. And right over here is the new tab. Okay, so you can open up new tabs right there, right? I can search the web and click on a new tab and find whatever I want in there. Let me go over to, for example, let me go over to, here's giving me suggestions. Going over to Microsoft.com. Here's Microsoft site. Okay, let me make this bigger. Now there are a lot of great features that are available right from within Edge that weren't around in the olden days, if you will. So here, for example, come on, I've got the favorites bar, no big deal. That's been around for a while. Here's a reading list. Okay, I can choose to save articles right over here if I wanted to read them right from the web. Right over here is history. So this is the Microsoft page that I'm just on right now. then the last hour is telling me that I visited Microsoft's homepage, I can choose to clear all history right from here. Up here are all of my current and past downloads. Okay, so everything that I have downloaded would be listed right over here, another big benefit. And I can open the downloads folder and be able to see what I downloaded and move things around. Click right up here. Okay, and this allows me to, since I'm a big fan of it, I can mark up a page. Ooh, slick. I can highlight things like so. I can go right over here, make markings. Okay, I can clear all ink. I can go over and make a note. So right over here, I can say this is the new Microsoft look and feel. I can also click over here. I can go down and I can cut out a piece right from the page like so. Come on, my dear slow machine. And it's copied. Okay, so I just drag it. Well, this didn't really do a good job. This just copied this thing right from the web. And paste. There you go. Okay, really slick, right? I mean, I'm able to grab and, grab a piece of the page. I don't have to grab the entire page. Don't have to worry about saving anything. I can just take a portion of the page and simply make it available to me right away. So those are notes. Okay, so right over here, I can share this page with whomever I like. I can share it with, and just send it off in mail, put it in OneNote. Okay, and I can exit out of this. Very, very slick little feature. Right. Also, I can go over to settings by clicking up here, right here. And I can specify what I want to open with. I can open with a start page, new page, previous page, a specific page that I want. Specify that. I can clear browsing data. In my case, I like to clear everything right there. Okay. Depends entirely on you and the way you do things. Going further down, reading, what kind of view you want to, the style of your reading. Viewing advanced settings, blocking pop-ups is on, Adobe Flash Player is on, and here's another one, offer to save passwords. Default, my case, I like that to be a no. I don't want to save passwords. I don't like saving form entries. Okay, so I like to turn those features off because they can invade my privacy, right? They being the machine that will hold this information in cache. I'm always weary of what an attacker might find if they got into my box, or somebody simply looking for things on my box. Yes, I want to show search suggestions as I type. Don't block cookies. So let's save my protected media licenses on my device. No. Page prediction, I turned that off. Help protect me from malicious downloads. Yes. So that just depends on how you like to work with things and what is your experience with the Edge browser or browsing in general. So those are some of the advanced settings associated with Edge, and it is a great, great browser. Let me show you around PowerShell, if I may be so bold. Let me select here. I don't know how many of you work with PowerShell, but PowerShell has a whole host of new features, and PowerShell is definitely an admin's environment and an admin's tool. Okay, so first of all, this option right over here, the one that allows me to see things in color, the commands that I type in, that wasn't available in previous versions of PowerShell. Okay, so that is a new thing. All the commands that I type in PowerShell are in color mode. I'm waiting for the slow machine to come up. There we go. And Here it is, listing Windows processes. Now let me show you. Now this is not something specifically new, but here, for example, I've got WordPad, right? This WordPad process that is running right now is right over here. Okay, I can find out, using PowerShell, I can find out quite a bit about the WordPad process that I wouldn't be able to find elsewhere. So if I do get process, WordPad, there it is, and I'm going to do format list everything, and I'm going to pipe that to more. There you go. Here's everything the Windows system knows about WordPad. And look at that, the handles, the virtual memory, the workspace, physical memory, non-page memory, what the path is for the program. Everything is listed here. Much more than you would expect to find, of course, in a normal process. Now, WordPad is open right over here. I can just as easily be in PowerShell and type get process WordPad, and then I can stop the process. If it wasn't being killed, or if I couldn't stop it, I could stop any process this way. There are many things associated with WordPad that I think you should look at, that I think you're going to find very useful. Let me open up File Explorer. Now, there are lots of things I like about File Explorer and the way they've enhanced it. First of all, look right over here at Quick Access. I've got the desktop, the downloads, the documents, and the pictures folder, and I've got a little pin icon right over here that I can choose to pin. And look at these pin icons right over here that I can choose to pin to the Quick Access bar as well. If I go to my C drive and I create a new folder, and I create a folder called Docs, and I put some file in there, data, okay, I'm able to, I can pin this right to the Quick Access, just like so. Now, when I am in PC and I'm just roaming around, I can click on this Docs and it will take me right to that folder. If I don't want it to be pinned there, I can click on this pin right over here, okay, and I can unpin from Quick Access. I can right-click and unpin, right-click and unpin, and so on. Okay. I can also right-click over here and I can specify to restore previous versions, which has been around in Windows since Windows 2000. This is shadow copy, but it has been enhanced quite a bit. Let me show you what I'm talking about if you haven't used it. This isn't exactly a new feature to Windows 10, but now in Windows, notice right over here, if I specify net user, I have the admin user, which is me. I have the administrator user, which is inactive, default account, which is inactive, guest account, which is inactive. In my case, the admin account is the only account that has been activated. I can choose to activate the admin account by using the net user keyword or the net user command. Okay, so right over here I can say net user, username active, and I can say yes. So if I said net user administrator active, yes, and it says access denied because I'm not logged on to the command prompt as an administrator. Let me close out of this. I can right-click on the Start menu and look at all the access that I have right over here. When I right-click on the Start menu, I get a whole new menu, and command prompt, running the command prompt as an admin is one of them. Disk management, network connection, device manager are all right here. This is not new to Windows 10. This was available in Windows 8, but nonetheless, it is a nice feature to have. Let's say yes to that. And I'm going to say net user administrator active, yes. There we go. And then when I say net user administrator and I do asterisk, it will ask me for a password, and I can just specify the password for the administrator user because at logon, there is no password associated with the administrator account. So when I do net user enter, I can see my accounts right there. I can also very easily, add new accounts as well. Okay, so I can say net user username and optionally specify a password, and I can do an add, and that will add the user. So I could say net user Rafiq, add net user, and now I have the Rafiq account right there. And then I can do net user Rafiq asterisk, specify the password for Rafiq. There we go. Now I have Rafiq as a user. So this is a way that I find a little bit helpful in the ability to be able to add users. You can also, if you really don't want to do this over and over again, let me show you one little neat trick. You can create, for example, a folder called utils, and in the utils folder, you can create a make user batch file. So right over here, I could say net user, and then I could specify %1, which would be the user that I pass in, add, and then I would do net user %1, and then put an asterisk to specify the password. And then right over here, I could say clear the screen, and right up here, I could do echo off. Clear the screen, and then I can say echo adding user %1, and I can say echo user %1 added CLS, echo supply password for user whatever you added in, CLS echo user added. We save this to see utils, make user CMD, all files, save that. And now when I go over here and I do make user, and I can say Tom C, look, it says supply password for user Tom C. I put in the password, and there it says user Tom C added. When I do net user enter, there's Tom C right there. And that's a script that I just wrote to be able to accomplish that. Now, I'm not saying, you have to know scripting. This is really a batch file, a very simple batch file. With Powershell, this task is done and made a heck of a lot easier. And if I wanted to add a lot of users really fast, or if I wanted to import users in from another system, I could accomplish it using these methods. So anyway, so that is a really quick rundown of some of the new features available with Windows